All right, so you're getting ready for an interview for an ICT account manager,
Okay.
which means you're going to be stepping into a world where you need tech knowledge and some serious sales skills.
Yeah, right.
And we've got all your RoleCatcher resources right here.
Yep.
Career guides, interview guides, FAQs, the whole thing.
Mhm.
And this deep dive is going to get you ready to not just answer questions, but to really impress them.
It's not just about knowing all the tech terms, though.
Right.
You need to show them you can do well in this fast-paced world
Right.
where understanding the client's needs is as important as understanding the technology.
Yeah, RoleCatcher's career guide really lays that out.
Yeah.
They say an ICT account manager is someone who builds relationships,
Right.
promotes products and services,
Mhm.
and makes sure everything from hardware to software is meeting their clients' needs.
Exactly.
And we're talking all kinds of clients, too.
Yeah.
From startups to huge corporations.
You need to be able to adapt.
Right.
Talk tech with a CTO 1 minute and explain the benefits to a small business owner the next.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
Yeah.
So let's get to the most important part, those interview questions.
Right.
RoleCatcher gives us 10 common questions,
Okay.
plus insights into what the interviewer is really looking for. Ready to take a look at them?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay.
I always think it helps to remember these questions are less about a right or wrong answer
Right.
and more about how you think.
Okay. So first up, what experience do you have in managing ICT accounts?
Okay.
RoleCatcher says this is where they want to see if you've actually done the work,
Right.
managed accounts,
Yeah.
handled the work,
Huh.
gotten some good results.
So think back to any time you've built relationships,
Okay.
figured out what clients need,
Yeah.
or actually pitched tech solutions.
Yeah.
It doesn't even have to be from a formal ICT role.
Okay. RoleCatcher's sample answer even suggests using numbers.
Oh, yeah.
So instead of just saying, I managed accounts,
Yeah.
you could say, I managed 10 accounts and exceeded sales targets by 15%.
Yeah, that makes it memorable.
Makes it punchy.
Yeah.
But you also have to be ready for follow-up questions.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
They might ask something like, tell me about a challenge you faced managing an account and how you overcame it.
Mm-hmm.
That's where having those specific stories ready can really help.
Definitely.
Okay, question 2.
Okay.
How would you describe your understanding of the ICT industry? Here, they want to see your knowledge and passion for tech.
It's so important to stay up to date here.
Right.
Talk about certifications, courses,
Wow.
industry publications that you read,
Right.
anything that shows you're in the loop.
RoleCatcher's response even mentions,
Yeah.
being aware of emerging technologies, the big
Right.
players in the industry,
Uh-huh.
and some of the challenges in the industry.
You can talk about things like
Yeah.
cloud computing,
Okay.
cybersecurity,
Uh-huh.
the growing need for IoT solutions. It shows you're paying attention.
Yeah.
And don't be afraid to get excited about it. You can
Yeah.
say something like, I'm always learning about the latest advancements because I love seeing what they can do.
Yeah, that's such a good point.
Yeah.
It's not just about what you know, but how you feel about learning new things.
Exactly.
But before we move on to the next question,
Okay.
I want to talk about something RoleCatcher offers their AI.
Oh, yeah.
So it can actually analyze job descriptions
Wow.
and help tailor your answers.
It's incredible.
It's like having a personal coach for every application.
I know, right?
And they even have video practice with AI feedback.
Really?
So you can work on how you're speaking and get tips on things like body language.
That's so cool.
Being prepared is key, and that kind of tech-driven practice can give you a real edge.
Definitely.
Okay, back to the interview questions.
Okay.
Number 3, how do you manage your time and prioritize tasks when handling multiple ICT accounts?
So this one's all about organization. They're testing how well you handle pressure.
Okay.
So think about systems you use.
Right.
Like time blocking,
Uh-huh.
the Eisenhower matrix, project management software.
Right.
Anything that shows you can juggle all those demands without dropping the ball.
And give them concrete examples, too.
Yeah, for sure.
So you could say, when facing tight deadlines, I use a Kanban board to track progress so nothing slips through the cracks.
Exactly.
That kind of detail is really important.
Yeah, and be ready for them to ask more.
Okay.
They might say, how do you handle unexpected issues? How do you delegate effectively?
Okay.
Be ready for those.
Okay, question 4. How do you ensure client satisfaction?
Okay.
So this one is all about relationships.
Right. So don't just give some generic answer here.
Okay.
Talk about active listening,
Uh-huh.
clear communication,
That-
setting realistic expectations,
Yeah.
being proactive when problems come up,
Yeah.
things that show you really care about their experience.
Yeah. Role catchers suggest even going the extra mile,
Okay.
really understanding those long-term goals.
Right.
You could say, I check in regularly, not just about projects, but to understand their evolving needs.
Uh-huh.
That shows you're committed.
Yeah, so imagine they then ask, tell me about a time you dealt with a dissatisfied client and turned things around.
Right.
You want to have a good story ready for that?
Yeah. Okay, question 5. How do you stay up to date with changes and trends in ICT?
All right.
So this is where you can show your passion for continuous learning.
Be specific.
Okay.
Name some conferences you've attended, courses you've taken,
Okay.
journals you read,
Right.
even blogs you follow.
Okay.
Show them that you're the one seeking out knowledge,
Right.
not just waiting for it to come to you.
Yeah. RoleCatcher's sample response talks about a multifaceted approach.
Right.
I subscribe to industry publications, attend webinars, and engage in online forums.
Yeah.
So you're being proactive,
Uh-huh.
and that's what they want to see.
Here's a potential follow-up.
Okay.
What emerging technology are you most excited about and why?
I love that question.
Yeah?
But before we go on, I think it's good to get a sense of the big picture here.
Okay.
RoleCatcher's Career Guide has some good info on the ICT Account Manager career path.
All right.
Knowing where this role can lead to can help shape your answers.
Right.
Shows you're thinking long-term,
Mm-hmm.
not just focused on getting this one job.
Yeah, they talk about the different stages,
Right.
junior, senior,
Yeah.
even moving into management.
Okay.
They also mention helpful certifications
Yeah.
and professional development strategies.
Mm-hmm.
And they even have real-world examples of people at different points in their careers.
Oh.
Even if they don't ask you about this directly,
Yeah.
having that context can change how you answer other questions.
Right.
It's all about showing them you're serious about growing in this field.
Okay, back to those questions.
All right.
Number 6 is all about problem solving. Can you describe a time when you successfully resolved a difficult issue with an ICT account?
This is where you show them you can stay calm under pressure and find solutions.
Okay.
Remember the STAR method situation? Task, action, result?
Okay.
That will help you structure your answer.
RoleCatcher gives an example of a client having trouble with new software.
Okay.
The candidate talks about working with the tech team,
Uh-huh.
keeping the client informed.
Right. And finding a solution that went above and beyond.
Yeah. Be ready for them to go deeper.
Oh, yeah.
They might say, what did you learn from that?
Uh-huh.
Or would you handle it differently next time?
Exactly.
Those are good ones to think about.
Yeah.
All right, that's 6 questions down.
Oh.
Let's take a break and come back to finish the rest.
Yeah.
And we'll look at those important skills that RoleCatcher highlights in their guide.
Sounds good. Okay, so ready to jump back into those interview questions?
Yeah, let's do it.
We left off on a good example of problem solving. Right. Now let's look at question 7.
Okay.
How do you ensure your team members are motivated and engaged when managing ICT accounts?
So this one seems to be more about leadership and teamwork.
Yeah, exactly.
They're asking how I build a good team dynamic.
It's about creating an environment where everyone feels valued and supported
Okay.
and where they want to do their best work.
So RoleCatcher highlights things like
Yeah.
open communication,
Mhm.
delegation,
Right.
recognition,
Yeah,
and giving people opportunities for professional development.
exactly.
So instead of just saying, I'm a great motivator,
Right.
I need to give them some real examples of how I've used those strategies.
Yeah, like that time you encouraged a team member to take on a hard project
Yeah.
and then you celebrated their success.
Right. Exactly.
Those are the kind of examples that will help you stand out.
And team dynamics aren't always perfect.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So they might ask something like, how do you handle conflicts within a team?
Exactly.
So I need to be ready to talk about
Right.
how I approach conflict resolution
Uh-huh.
and how I promote collaboration.
It's important to show them you can navigate that.
Okay, on to question 8.
Okay.
How do you ensure that your team is meeting the performance goals and targets set for managing ICT accounts?
All right, so this one is all about performance management.
Okay.
Can you set clear goals?
Right.
Track everyone's progress. Give good feedback.
Right.
And hold your team accountable.
Yeah, those are all important parts of leadership.
RoleCatcher says to use metrics and examples to
yeah.
show how you do things.
So I could talk about using KPIs,
Yeah.
conducting performance reviews,
Right.
and using data to find areas that need improvement.
Exactly.
But it's not just about celebrating success.
Right. You need to be ready to talk about how you deal with underperformance.
Yeah, so how do I figure out the root cause of the problem?
Uh-huh.
And how do I provide support? And how do I address those issues professionally? RoleCatcher's example talks about understanding why someone might be underperforming.
Yeah.
and working with them to come up with a plan to get better.
And that shows a good balance of empathy and accountability.
Right.
They might even ask, can you give me an example of a time you had to make a tough decision about a team member's performance?
That's a good one to think about.
Yeah, because those situations can be hard, but you need to show them you can handle things fairly and professionally.
Okay, that one is going on my list of scenarios to prepare for.
Okay, good.
Now for a more personal question.
All right.
Can you describe a time when you successfully increased revenue for an ICT account?
Ah, the revenue question.
Yeah.
This is where you get to show off your sales skills and how you can make a business grow.
So RoleCatcher says to choose an example.
Yeah.
That shows my strategic thinking,
Uh-huh.
problem-solving skills,
Right.
and relationship-building skills.
And remember that STAR method we talked about?
Oh, yeah.
It can really help you.
Yeah, definitely. I need to outline the situation, what I had to do, and the results.
And those results should be quantifiable.
Right, like the revenue increases.
Exactly.
They have a good example
Okay.
where someone saw an opportunity to upsell a client to a cloud-based solution.
Mm-hmm.
They did a needs analysis,
Okay.
tailored a proposal,
Mm-hmm.
addressed the client's concerns,
Mm-hmm.
and eventually closed the deal. You should also be ready to talk about your sales process,
Okay.
how you find leads,
Uh-huh.
build rapport,
Okay.
handle objections,
Right.
and close deals.
And what about upselling and cross-selling?
Oh, yeah, good point.
I need to have some strategies for recognizing and taking advantage of those.
Definitely.
Now let's look at a question that's really important these days.
Okay.
How do you ensure that your team is complying with all relevant policies and regulations when managing ICT accounts?
Compliance and risk management are so important.
Yeah, especially with data privacy and cybersecurity being such big issues. RoleCatcher says it's important to create a culture of compliance,
Right.
where everyone understands the rules and why they matter.
So, regular training on data privacy,
Yeah.
ethical sales practices,
Right.
and cybersecurity are all essential.
Their sample response talks about communicating expectations clearly,
Okay.
providing resources and support,
Uh-huh.
and regularly reviewing and updating policies.
Right, so you're staying ahead of any changes.
Exactly.
They also mentioned using tools to monitor compliance and setting up a way for people to report any potential violations.
Right.
Those are all important ways to reduce risk.
It sounds like being proactive is key.
But what about those times when someone makes a mistake?
Yeah, that happens.
What if they ask how I'd handle a team member breaking a company policy?
You need to be ready to talk about your approach to disciplinary action
Okay.
and what you do to fix the problem.
So it's about finding a balance
Uh-huh.
between holding people accountable and creating an environment where people can learn from their mistakes.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've gone through those 10 common questions.
Yeah.
But RoleCatcher also talks about the specific skills you need to be a good ICT account manager.
Right, like active listening,
Uh-huh.
negotiation,
Yeah.
persuasion,
Okay.
and understanding sales and marketing.
It's interesting how it combines technical knowledge and those soft skills.
Yeah, and it's not just about having all those skills separately. It's
Right.
about how you use them together to build relationships, solve problems,
Yeah.
and get results.
Their guide breaks down each skill
Uh-huh.
and gives explanations and examples.
Like with social perceptiveness.
Okay.
They describe it as being aware of others' reactions and understanding why they react the way they do.
Yeah, that's got to be important for dealing with clients.
It's like reading between the lines,
Okay.
picking up on those nonverbal cues,
Right.
and changing how you communicate to build trust.
A good ICT account manager can tell if a client is unsure, excited, or frustrated,
Uh-huh.
and they can change how they're talking to the client based on that.
I'd love to hear an example of how you've used social perceptiveness in your career.
Sure.
I once worked with a client who really didn't want to use a new cloud-based platform.
Okay.
I could tell they were nervous, so I didn't try to hard sell it to them.
Right.
Instead, I focused on listening to their concerns. I even invited them to our data center
Wow.
to meet the tech team,
Okay.
and that really helped build trust.
That's a great example.
Thanks.
It shows that understanding someone's point of view can be as important as understanding the technology.
Exactly.
But every job has its pros and cons.
Of course.
And RoleCatcher talks about that too.
It's good that they don't try to hide the bad stuff.
Yeah. They talk about the good stuff.
Yeah.
Like the earning potential,
Right.
the opportunities for advancement,
Uh-huh.
working with the latest tech.
But they also talk about the challenges. It's competitive.
Okay.
The work can be a lot,
Uh-huh.
and you have to keep learning to keep up with all the changes.
It takes a certain type of person to do well in that kind of job.
Yeah, you have to find a balance.
Right.
Weigh the good and the bad.
Uh-huh.
And decide if it's the right fit for you.
RoleCatcher gives you the information to help you make that decision.
Yeah, they talk about industry trends,
Okay.
the job outlook,
Mm-hmm.
and even how to network and grow professionally.
Like what?
They suggest attending industry conferences,
Okay.
joining professional associations,
Right.
and using LinkedIn to connect with people.
So you're going into this interview prepared
Yeah.
with a real advantage.
You know the role,
Uh-huh.
you've thought through the tough question,
Right.
and you know the skills and knowledge you need to succeed.
And don't forget about RoleCatcher's AI tools.
Oh, yeah. Those can really help.
They can help you make your answers even better
Right.
and practice how you're going to say things so you can present yourself in the best way possible.
But here's one last thing to think about.
Okay.
RoleCatcher talks about the importance of always learning new things in this field.
Right.
So how are you going to stay ahead of the curve?
Yeah, how will I keep my skills sharp and keep learning new things?
Especially in such a fast-changing field.
That's a good point.
The good thing is there's always something new to learn
Right.
and new problems to solve.
So embrace it,
Yeah.
stay curious, and never stop learning.
Good luck with your interview.
Thanks.
You got this.
We talked a lot about those interview questions, but there's even more that we need to cover.
Yeah.
RoleCatcher's Career Guide goes deeper into the skills you need to be a good ICT account manager. Not just sample answers, but like core skills.
It's a really interesting mix.
Yeah.
Technical knowledge and people skills.
Right, like active listening, negotiation, persuasion, and a good understanding of sales and marketing. I like that they explain how to use each skill on the job.
Oh, yeah.
Like social perceptiveness.
Okay.
They say it's about knowing how people are reacting and why.
Which is so important when you're working with clients.
Exactly.
It's not just about what they say.
Yeah.
You have to pick up on those subtle cues and change how you communicate to build trust.
A really good ICT account manager can tell when a client is hesitant or excited or maybe even frustrated.
Right.
And they adjust how they're talking to the client because of that.
I bet you have some good stories about that from your career.
Do you have any examples of when you use social perceptiveness to connect with a client?
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Tell me about it.
So I was working with this client who was really against moving to a cloud-based platform.
Okay.
I could tell they were nervous, so I didn't try to hard sell it.
Right.
I just listened to what they were worried about.
Yeah.
And I invited them to our data center to meet the tech team.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, it really helped them trust us.
That's a great example.
Thanks.
It shows how important it is to understand someone's perspective.
Yeah.
Just as much as understanding the technology.
For sure.
But RoleCatcher also talks about the good and bad things about this job.
Right. Every job has its pros and cons.
I like that they don't try to sugarcoat it.
Yeah, they talk about the good stuff, like
Right.
how much you can earn,
Okay.
the chances to move up, and getting to work with really cool technology.
But they also talk about the challenge.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
What are some of those?
Well, it's a competitive field.
Right.
The work can be demanding, and you have to constantly learn new things to keep up with everything.
It takes a certain kind of person to do well in that kind of job.
You really have to weigh the good and the bad
Yeah.
and decide if it's right for you.
But RoleCatcher gives you all the info you need to make that decision.
They talk about industry trends,
Okay.
the job outlook,
Yeah.
and even how to network and grow professionally.
So what are some tips for that?
They suggest going to industry conferences,
Okay.
joining those professional groups,
Great.
and using LinkedIn to connect with people.
So basically, you're going into this interview with a real advantage.
You know the role,
Yeah.
you've thought about the tough questions, and you know the skills and knowledge that will help you succeed.
And don't forget about RoleCatcher's AI tools.
Oh, yeah, those can really make a difference.
They can help you improve your answers.
Right.
Practice how you're going to say things.
So you can present yourself in the best way.
But one last thing to think about.
Okay.
RoleCatcher talks a lot about always learning new things in this field.
Right.
How are you going to stay ahead of all the changes?
It's a fast-changing world.
How are you going to make sure you're always learning?
Yeah. That's the fun part. There's always something new to learn, new challenges to figure out.
So just stay curious.
Exactly.
And keep exploring.
Thanks for joining us on the deep dive.
It was great having you.
We'll see you next time for another deep dive into a topic that matters to you.